Welcome to today's webinar. Please note that this webinar is being recorded. If you have any questions during the presentation, please use the chat box by clicking the chat bubble on the bottom left of your screen. I will now pass it off to Siri Genik, who will be your moderator for today.
Thank you very much, Lily, and thank you very much to KPMG for sponsoring this Trailblazer Award webinar series. Very appreciated. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the second of the Trailblazer Award webinars. This morning, we were lucky enough to sit and share a cup of tea with Nian Allman, who is the 2019 Trailblazer Award recipient. And we are now equally lucky to share our lunchtime, if you're in Toronto or in the East Coast, with Gabrielle Samek, who is the 2019 Women in Mining Canada Student Trailblazer Award recipient. Gabrielle, welcome.
Hi.
I'm going to read when we awarded you this Trailblazer, we asked you to provide us with 5 bullets that were rolling on the slideshow during the event. I'm going to read them because I think they provide a good framework, and then perhaps you can fill in those dots. But before I do that, congratulations on your win. There's a lot of young women out there who were nominated. They were all amazing. We will be continuing the Trailblazer Award session in launching it in a week or so. So for everybody who's out there listening, please make sure you think of that student or that woman or Indigenous woman and student or the mentor that made a difference in your careers for the Trailblazer Awards. So this is what Gabrielle sent us when we asked her for 5 bullets that best defined her. Gabrielle is in her 4th year of mining engineering at Queen's University. Gabrielle grew up in Toronto. Gabrielle completed a work term at Barrick's Hemlo operation and has also completed work at the Elk Valley in May at Teck's Fording River operation. At the time Gabrielle's nomination came in, she was the president of the Kingston Women in Mining Student Chapter and was the co-chair of the Queen's Global Energy Conference. And last but certainly not least, and the one that impressed me the most, is that her hobbies include skiing, but not just any skiing. She was a racer for many years and then became a level 1 instructor. And Gabrielle also really enjoys backcountry canoeing and has completed a month-long trip on the Kisagami River in James Bay. So that's the one I'm really envious of. So Gabrielle, welcome again. And maybe you can fill in some of the dots for us before we go forward.
Yeah. Oh, well, thanks, Siri, for the introduction. So right now, the dots kind of, they summarize my work experience. So I finished up my 3rd year of mining engineering at Queen's in May, and then I headed to BC, and right now I'm on a year-long work term working for Teck Coal at their Fording River operation. So I'll be here up until May, and I'll be working here for 12 months. Right now, I'm working on the short-range planning team, doing assisting with a whole bunch of different tasks, including a lot of the day-to-day design work, and most recently, I've started doing the short-term waste dump planning, which was an exciting promotion.
Congratulations.
Thank you. At Queen's, I was really involved in student life. In the past couple of years, I was there. Part of that was in mining, working with the Kingston Women in Mining chapter. I was a member last year and the vice president, and then the year after became the president. And that was a really great opportunity. I got to meet a lot of girls in mining engineering and as well in geology, and even a couple girls from commerce who would come and be a member of the chapter. So that was a great opportunity. And yeah, I was a competitive ski racer for a long time. And once I kind of stopped with that, I went on to be a level 1 ski instructor, and I did that for a couple of years, teaching younger kids how to ski. And now that I'm living in BC, I'm living in Fernie, and the ski season's just starting up. I'm actually going this weekend for the first time. So yeah, that's all pretty exciting.
Oh, so Fernie is very beautiful, and I'm totally jealous. You could be my ski instructor anytime. Thanks for those details. So while you were in school, and you still are in a certain way, tell me a bit about your experiences about what do young women think about the industry? Because we're hearing a lot of feedback where young grads in general, but women in particular, don't necessarily see a future or find it extremely difficult to get employed, or are very concerned about, in the event that they are hired, what their careers, what could some of the hurdles of their in the career path be. So are you able to share some insights and some thoughts of what you and your colleagues think about and talk about while you're in school in these sort of formative years?
Yeah, most definitely. I think definitely everything that you touched on is a consensus that I've heard amongst my peers too. I think a lot of it stems from just a general lack of awareness about mining in youth. I know especially in my first year, because the first year of engineering at Queen's is general and you don't specialize until second year. When people were considering mining engineering as an option, a lot of people just didn't know anything about it or what it was, so it wasn't something they considered to study. But I also do think that with the young women that I know and a lot of my peers, it also was difficult because they were worried about having to relocate to a different town if they didn't, where most people didn't grow up in a town where there is mines, and they were worried about going and relocating and working at site. And I think that is a concern, especially a lot of people do want to stay close to home and to their family. But definitely what made me excited about working at a site and working at an operation, which definitely isn't the only option for young people in the mining industry. But for me, I got really excited about it because I did meet some older girls studying mining engineering, and they had done work terms at site, and they were telling me about their experiences, and they all had really positive things to say. So to me, that was definitely a huge reassurance that going into mining and going and working at an operation could be a really positive experience for a young woman.
So Gabrielle, these older girls, as you call them, that sort of puts me in the very older girl group. Were they women that you would consider like mentors, and do you or guides, or how would you?
Right.
Was it in your journey trying to figure out, I guess, as you were moving forward where you wanted to go, that you identified these young women, and were you able to develop professional relationships that helped you get insights? Would that be a fair statement?
Yeah, and I would say too, like when I say older, they were really some of my older classmates, so maybe 2 or 3 years older. So they just had a bit more experience as a student. So I think just hearing from your I would say professional relationships, but almost with my peers.
So young women helping young women, basically. Yeah. Do you still see that? So you're sort of working. I mean, you're absolutely working, actually, not sort of, just within the context of graduating next year. Do you still see that as a reality? And or do you, some comments that sometimes come back to us are, well, women don't always help each other. Sometimes they do, but sometimes they don't. They're very competitive. What are your thoughts on that?
I think from my experience, I've always found that when I'm in a group, whether it be at school where there's not many women or in the workplace, that we've all been very supportive of each other, and I loved having that tight-knit group of women that I knew I could rely on, and it definitely made me feel more comfortable in the workplace.
Are they still, do you still have that group of women? Is it still a group that you interface with as you move forward?
Yeah, for sure.
Fantastic. And how about the guys? What were the guys like in school? I mean, were they supportive? Were they competitive? Were they respectful? Do you have any insights on that?
I would say at Queen's, for the most part, the guys were very supportive. It was a very small group. Like my immediate class is only 12 people, and 3 of them are women. So in that small group of people at school, the guys are definitely supportive because we're all very close classmates, and when you're working in a team that small, everyone's always got something to contribute. And I found it well too going into the workplace. I mean, I've never had any problems, and I've always had a very supportive team. And yeah, overall, my experience has been very positive.
Thank you for that. So, when you were putting together with colleagues and friends your package for the nomination last year, we asked you for 3 questions, a bit of a dissertation, so got you all to do some homework. And one of the questions was the importance of volunteer work in relation to work experience in the mining industry, and whether it makes a difference with volunteer work, not just within mining, but just in general. Can you talk to us a bit about that aspect of your early career steps?
Yeah. I've definitely during my undergrad did a lot of different volunteer work with a couple of different groups, and I found for me what it really taught me was outside of my studies, it was a way to work in a team and gain some leadership experience and all work towards a common goal. So for me, I kind of already mentioned it, but a lot of my volunteer work and leadership work was with the Women in Mining Kingston Student Chapter, as well as the Queen's Engineering Mining Executive, and working with other groups more broadly in Queen's Engineering. And I found that it really taught me a couple of skills that I found were really transferable into the workplace, because I learned a lot about communication and goal setting and doing more results-oriented work. I find that my work now is a lot more results-oriented than it is how my studying was. And so all of those skills I thought really helped me transfer into the workplace.
Those are really good insights. So you felt that ability to get involved and take leadership in different spaces brought you experience that you're now applying to your roles, to your role at Tech.
For sure. And it's also, I always found that doing my volunteer work and leadership work at school, like, it's a lot of fun, and it's a great way to get involved in your local community and meet new groups of people.
So that fun part also came out this morning with Neen Allman. Talk to us a bit about the importance of fun and balance throughout what has to be a very demanding years of, at least in studying. You haven't journeyed far yet, but I mean, I know that school's intense, and so is work. You know, we all are very serious and focused. Talk to us about the fun part.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's always been, I definitely throughout school was focused on my studies and wanted to make sure that I absorbed what I could and got and did the best that I could in my marks. But it was important to me to get involved in my community, meet a wide group of people. I really love interacting with people, working with people. So the more groups of people I got to work with, I found that to be a fun break and not be sitting and worrying about my studies. And as well, I think that can come from ways other than volunteer work. Definitely a lot of people, I think, get that from, exercise or sports or doing intramurals or whatever that is. For my work life here, it's definitely more focused around doing outdoor activities and skiing and canoeing and stuff like that. But I find having that time to enjoy myself allows me to recharge and perform better when I am trying to work.
So that's really important. And interestingly, Nian, who's been in the so you're both at two extremes of the spectrum. Nina's been in the industry for over 50 years and is as amazing as anybody. My goodness, she's incredible. And you're starting out, and you both put a lot of emphasis on this part, which is to look after yourself, to find time for yourself, and to have fun. So thank you I think we forget that. For a whole bunch of reasons, and I think that they're very important points to make. As we mentioned in the document we asked you to fill out, we talk about the fact that women in the mining industry are currently very poorly represented. I think it's getting better. It's certainly not where we would like it to be. Talk to us a bit about your thoughts on what we need to do looking forward, and what we need to do as an industry. What do we need to do better or different or both?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, definitely when I was writing my application, I thought a lot about this. And I think that one of the reasons that the representation of women is so low, especially when I'm thinking about people my age that would be entering the industry, I think that there already is such a low number of women in engineering, and then there is a general lack of awareness around mining. So between those two factors, there ends up being a pretty small pool of women to actually draw from that might be interested. And I think that the main thing that would be turning those women away from maybe wanting to work in the industry would be a negative perspective on what it would be like. So to me, I think the best way to increase representation would really be an awareness building campaign and a way to create awareness about what the mining industry is like and what women's experiences have actually been working in it and what the opportunities are for women. And like I said, I think that can come in two parts. I know that getting high school girls excited about the mining industry would definitely be a great thing. I know when I was in high school and looking at my future and thinking about what I wanted to study, I knew I wanted to do engineering, but beyond that, I wasn't really sure. And I definitely just had no concept of what the mining industry was really. And so getting girls that are younger thinking about mining, I think would be really, really great. The main way that I think young high school girls could be targeted would be through big scholarships and awards like this. I remember back when I was applying to university, scholarships definitely get people's attention.
Yes.
Even if you don't end up, you say, oh, it's not for me, it's something that you're thinking about, and you might look at a friend and say, hey, I'm not interested in engineering, but this is a scholarship for women that are. So that would be...
So the opportunity, so schools finding ways to attract with financial ways is, of course, a way to bring more women into the industry for sure. I mean, it's makes it easier. Have you had any difficult experiences or challenging experiences that you're comfortable to talk about, and how did you deal with them and overcome them? I mean, it couldn't have been all canoe trips and fun stuff. Certainly looking back to my years, there were challenges. So could you share some of that with us?
I would say one of the bigger challenges in my life, or one of the more intimidating things I did, was last summer when I moved to Northern Ontario to work at Hemlo. I was really excited about it and the new opportunity, but I was moving quite a ways from home. Like I said, I'm from Toronto, and I knew absolutely nobody there or in the area. At least like when I went to Queens from Toronto, I did know quite a few people from high school and other things. So that was the first time that I'd really moved anywhere and had to meet a whole new community and make a connection. But I think really the way I overcame it was just having a positive outlook and being able to put myself out there and try and make connections once I got there. And I really did end up having a really positive experience there.
Thank you for that. So when you were either at Barracks or now you're at Tech, without specifying individuals, what are some of the things you find those organizations are doing to retain young women and to make their work within these organizations validated, empowering, elevating? So can you talk a bit about that?
Yeah, I think that from my experience, that's definitely come from within my team and from my supervisor. At both those companies I was really fortunate to have the opportunity to work on some real projects and get some real hands-on experience. And so I think like just giving me the opportunity to be able to be involved in those projects and produce some work that people were actually using and allowing me to be a part of the team and having that positive experience was definitely something that I think they're doing well in terms of their student program and retaining young women within the student program.
Do you have somebody within the organization or within your life that is either a mentor or a sponsor or a champion that helps you and maybe not supports you, but I'll say bring some wind under your wings?
Yeah, I would definitely say I think I do have someone who I think really sponsors me. I met him after my first year of university, and he's been a great mentor to me and sponsor, always introducing me to different people and letting me know about different opportunities, be someone that to be a bit of a sounding board that I can give my ideas to and some career opportunities that I'm interested in and get his advice on them. And as well in the organizations as well, I think both my supervisors have always been really great supports to me and been supportive and let me work on projects that I'm interested in and given me really great feedback, not just on my technical skills, but also in the professional development side of things.
So thank you for that. So there are relationships with people in your midst, and it is a give and take. So you're able to get positive feedback and sometimes probably constructive criticism.
For sure.
You mentioned one element that I would like to highlight for those of you who were not at the March 5th Mining for Diversity event earlier this year at PDAC. Gabrielle was out in the field working, and her father picked up her award. And originally he wasn't going to speak, and we said, no, we really would like you to. And I don't think there was a prouder person, much less father, in that room than your dad. And for those people who know me, my father was also very, very instrumental and a very positive influence. So, and you've mentioned men as sponsors and champions. Can you talk a bit about men in the industry and their role for women in mining? Because sometimes I feel that maybe they need some guidance as to how to be able to help us be better, or not better, but how to make room for everybody indistinctively. So what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I've been really fortunate to have some different champions in my life who are men, and I think that there definitely is a lot of opportunity for men to help sponsor young women. especially just given the climate of the industry right now and how a lot of key executives and supervisors and people on my team and going above are men. I think my advice would really be to just be yourself and have a very honest relationship. And if you meet young women who you would like to mentor or sponsor in their careers, to be open to it and always be conscious of it and thinking of opportunities for them, because there is definitely an opportunity for mentorship and sponsorship, and I think that both of those play really equal and important roles in helping women progress in their careers.
Good. Those are really good points. Thanks. The industry is changing. So you probably work with a computer and different software tools a lot more than most people did obviously in past generations. What are your thoughts of where the industry is going, and what is it going to look like when you're in your mid-30s?
That's a great question. I definitely think that it's a really exciting time in the industry because there is so much change going on with everything to do with automation and data analytics. And I'm lucky to be working at Tech and I know at Fording River and a couple of their other operations in the Elk Valley, they're trying to implement a totally autonomous haulage. And so it is a really exciting time to be able to see how much of a difference this technology is making. And as far as me projecting what I see the industry will be like when I'll be in my 30s, I think it'll look completely different, and it'll be a lot more high tech. And this is an area I'm interested in and educating myself more about because I think it is so important. So I'm excited to see where all the automation and innovation goes.
So if we're looking at talking about careers moving forward and areas, it's not just mining engineering or not perhaps just geosciences, but a combination. So obviously of innovation, technology. How about environment, science, sustainability? Is that part of something that you care about? Our mining is being held responsible for large greenhouse gas emissions. There are things definitely we need to do better with tailings. What are some of your thoughts on that?
I think that is for me personally, that's definitely a really huge aspect and something really important to me. There's definitely, the climate crisis is obviously here, and there's a lot of change that needs to happen amongst every industrial industry. But as far as mining goes, I think that there has been really great innovation and great regulation as for the environmental science and sustainability side of things. I've definitely gotten to see that working at Tech these past 6 months. One thing that really drew me to working for Tech is that they are a sustainability leader in the industry. And so seeing the environmental side of things be at the forefront of every decision has been really interesting to me. And like I talked about at the beginning, I definitely am a passionate outdoors person, and so protecting the earth and being able to have these huge industrial operations producing in a cleaner way is really important to me, and it's definitely where I see the future moving.
So certainly very pluridisciplinary, opening up, broadening the space, and numerous opportunities. From what I'm hearing you say, and certainly a lot of room for young women to go into. So the data analytics, I think you mentioned, and so mining has in your head certainly, and in your thoughts, has a good future ahead of it.
Yes, yeah, most definitely.
Excellent. So with all of that, and with this award that you've received, what are the next steps? What do you do with it? How do you intend to leverage this award for your own future, but also that for the women who are coming behind, who hopefully are listening into this webinar or may listen in a little bit later? If you had a whole bunch of people listening to you, and where do we go from here with you, Gabrielle?
For me, it's definitely a really exciting opportunity to have won this award, and given, yeah, I would say for me, it's really important to use this award to inspire young women who are interested to enter the mining industry. And I think sometimes because I'm in mining engineering, when I think about women in mining, I think about mining engineering, but really, like, there can be women from all branches of engineering or geosciences, or more from a data analytics or business operational standpoint, that would be interested and find a really great role in the industry. And so to me, I really want to be able to leverage this award and be able to, do webinars like this and be able to get my word out there about what my experience has been like and how I see the future of the industry going, with the hope to inspire some other young women to enter the industry as well.
So you would be open, for example, to young women reaching out to you and asking for and becoming in turn a mentor or a guide or somebody who can also help support young women developing in mining and in a career in mining.
Yeah, most definitely.
In your turn to become a little bit of a mentor.
Yeah, most definitely. And I too, like last year's recipient of the Student Trailblazer Award, Amy Harper, she was one of my peers at school, and actually she's also in the Elk Valley right now working for tech, and she has been an older figure and a mentor to me moving into the industry. So I'd love for younger girls to return the favor too.
So I'm sad to hear that you're calling all these Amy, whom I know also and is an amazing young woman, the older women. I think it's just put a whole bunch of us into a whole different category. But I certainly, on behalf of Women in Mining, the board, it's exciting to hear that the platform of the awards give each of you the opportunity to reach out and sort of help pull each other up the mountain. Because sometimes I think, certainly in my career, there are times when it is a mountain to climb, and there's days when having that reaching hand is helpful, and we build our networks. And so knowing that the Trailblazer Award is helping you connect with these young women and in turn help each other is certainly one of the targets for all of us at Women in Mining Canada. So I'm pretty excited. Thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
At this point, maybe we'll take a bit of a break in the conversation, and I'm not sure if there's anybody listening, but if anybody has dialed in and has any questions, either specifically to Gabrielle or even broader, there is a chat box to the left of your screen. If you just click on it, you can type a message, and we'll make sure we ask Gabrielle to answer it. And if you're not listening to this particular webinar, but you will at some point listen to it at a different time, we will welcome your questions. You can send them at info@wimcanada.org. The address is on the slide, and we of course would make sure that we reply to them. So Gabrielle, moving forward, we have a little bit of time. We're doing quite well. Our theme this year, Women in Mining Canada's theme this year for our Mining for Diversity event is Stronger Together. This is a bit of a catch question, not a trick one, because we haven't really prepared for it. But as a young woman in the industry, Stronger Together, talk to that theme a bit, and what should we be thinking about in preparation for um, our next set of Trailblazer winners?
Yeah, I really like that. I really do like that theme. I think like I spoke to earlier, from my experience, all of the women that I've worked with in the industry have been great supports to me, and a lot of great role models. And I think that the Trailblazer Award is another great example of that. It's definitely been a platform for me to be able to meet a bunch of different industry leaders, and people working in the industry. So I think that it's a great theme to talk about when it's talking about celebrating women's successes and bringing women together to celebrate that.
Thank you. We'll have to take some of those ideas down and use them as trailers for the event. How do you see your career evolving over the next? And it's one of those horrible interview questions. Where do you see yourself in 5 years or 10 years? And I've always wanted to ask somebody, so maybe not. But how do you see your? And you can feel very comfortable not to answer, of course. But how do you see yourself evolving, or where do you like to see yourself? And also perhaps share with us, if you're comfortable doing so, some of your concerns about being able to reach your targets.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I can tell you that I don't know exactly where I want to end up yet in the next 5 or 10 years, but that I do know that the role that I'd love to be in is one where I have the ability to make change on a large scale, and really have an impact on the community and the space that I'm working in. And as well, a role that's high energy and fun and with a great group of people. But exactly what that is yet, I'm not entirely sure.
Now that's fair, and thanks for your honesty. But there are inevitably challenges for all of us as we go on our journey through our careers. Do you have any particular concerns or thoughts? I mean, obviously, anybody with your energy, your passion, your attitude will no doubt be able to get to where she wants, or at least get in the close enough. Are you concerned or worried about anything?
I think probably every young person or university student has some concern or worry about what the future holds for them. And for me, I think a lot of it is just within the uncertainty of not having a particular plan for 5 or 10 years down the road. But overall, I've had a bunch of great opportunities throughout my undergrad, and I've really enjoyed my studies and each of my work terms and the clubs and communities that I've been involved with. So I know that down the road, I'm sure everything will fall into place.
So, and I have no doubt that you will. So, in closing, you have incredible passion, love for life. I would say natural curiosity. What would be your advice to the women, the young women who are following in your footsteps?
I think I have a couple of different pieces of advice, but one of the main ones would be to get out into the field. I've definitely, from my 2 jobs at operations, I've had the opportunity to learn so much more, and it's really enhanced my learning when I went back to the classroom because I had that operational experience to pull from. I really think it grows you, and you get to have hands-on impact. And with that too, I think not to be really not worried about needing to relocate to get those operational experiences. Really get involved in the community, get to know people. A lot of people have moved to those communities as well, and they're in the same boat. So I find that they're very open and inviting, and really that's also what's made my work terms and my work experiences so positive.
Thank you. And so, of course, a lot of sports and basically having a lot of fun, I think, would probably be something we could add to that.
Yeah.
Gabrielle, thank you very, very much for taking the time today to speak, to answer my questions, and to speak to all of us. Congratulations again on winning this award. Thank you to your father, who was with us at the Mining for Diversity event. I hope we'll see both of you this year, or rather next year for 2020. As I said, our theme for our Mining for Diversity event is Stronger Together, Stronger in All Ways, and Together in All Ways. The event will be held March 3rd from 4 to 6 during PDAC, of course. So we expect all of you in great numbers. And we also would like to encourage all of you who are listening to think of all of the women or young women that you would like to nominate. There are 5 awards, I remind you: the Trailblazer Award, the Indigenous Trailblazer Award, the Indigenous Student Trailblazer Award, the Student Trailblazer Award, and the Rick Hudson Mentorship Award, for which you can nominate somebody who's been a mentor to you, and it may be a woman or a man. So please, the details are on Women in Mining Canada's website. If there are issues that are unclear, again, write to us. We'll make sure we get back to you. We will officially launch the award season, so to speak, excuse me, the first week of December. But please talk about it, reach out, and encourage everybody, particularly within the young women, the students. You are the future. You are the next generation of our industry. You do make a difference, as you can hear from Gabrielle and Amy and the young women before them. So please do talk about and think about those next trailblazers. Thank you to all of you for listening. Have a great afternoon, and we look forward to our next Trailblazer webinar, which will be in a few weeks.